everyone, so as you may have noticed, this video is going to be a slightly longer one today, and that's because I have a lot of issues to work through. Basically, I thought it was time that I made a video talking about mental health experiences while studying at Oxford. Well, before I even considered coming to Oxford, I've always had a lot of issues with anxiety and depression, among other things. In fact, I've now been officially diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Before I even had a diagnosis, I did wonder about how this was going to interact with my university experience, not only in the social side, because I often get quite uncomfortable in certain social situations, but also in the sense of the work. The thing about Oxford is, well before you consider coming here, you know that it's associated with like a hell of a lot of pressure, and I didn't know how my brain would really be able to cope with an increase in the level of pressure, and I was definitely considering not applying based off that. So I was thinking that maybe other people are also thinking that, are worried about how their application will be affected by any mental illnesses they have, or whether they'll just be unable to survive in this environment while having mental health difficulties. So basically I just thought I'd have a little bit of a chat about the kind of support that is available at Oxford and a little bit about my own experiences with it, both the good and the bad. So I'm going to start off by talking through the resources, because some people may just want a simple list of all the different places you can find support, and then after that I'll probably talk a little bit more about myself. So if you're interested in that as sort of like a case study, and that will be in the second half of this marathon video. I made a decision that I was going to do this video without glasses on because it really annoys me when I can see the light reflecting in my glasses, but I've just realised that I can't read my list if I don't have my glasses, so I'm really sorry for that poor continuity. And so I thought about a lot of the different support systems, and I thought I'll go through them, starting off with ones that are available within the college environment, then ones that are available officially through the university, and ones that are part of Oxford but not necessarily officially affiliated with the University of Oxford. So firstly, within your college you have a lot of people who are there to talk when you need to talk to someone. At Teddy Hall we have a college nurse who's a trained counsellor, but most, if not all, colleges will have a trained counsellor. I'm not sure entirely whether this is part of university-wide regulations, but there should be a trained counsellor somewhere on campus, and they're available to talk about welfare issues whenever. There's also a chaplain, and I think this is definitely, obviously, primarily associated with religious issues, and I understand that, but also don't rule them out if you don't want to talk about religious matters or faith at all, or you're not religious, because they do often hold senior welfare positions and they can be just really, really brilliant, lovely people to talk to. As well as this, your college will have a welfare representative as part of your JCR, which is the Junior Common Room, or is basically like the college version of a student union, who will arrange things like a peer support programme, which will be students who are specifically trained to be able to listen to people who are struggling and help them through that a little bit. And it's a really, really great service. There's a lot of tea involved. It's just really lovely. A lot of people do, however, want to look at support outside of their college, but there is an Oxford University counselling service which has trained counsellors that are there for Oxford students, and basically it's really easy to apply. If you send an email to the counselling service, they'll send you a couple of forms back. All you have to do is fill out these forms and send them back, and you should get an appointment. But I will say that it can be quite a slow progress, because in a university of this many people, with this much pressure, a lot of counselling is required, but it is technically available for everyone. So don't feel like you're taking up time that doesn't belong to you. I know there's a lot of issues in mental illnesses with feeling like your problems don't matter as much as other people's, so definitely avoid that mindset and have a look at the counselling service, because some people do really rate it. There's also the DAS, which is the Disability Advisory Service. So if you're actually diagnosed with a medical condition, be that psychological or otherwise, you may be entitled to funding from the Disabled Students Allowance, which is funded through the Student Finance Programme. And this would give you a specific learning tools that would help you through. There's also a mentoring system, which is kind of like the counselling system, but is more long-term. So counselling is sort of seen as for focusing on specific issues. They go through students quite quickly, whereas the mentoring is an established thing between you and another party. You have a firm mentoring relationship with another person, and it's also more work specific, focused on study skills and coping with Oxford and things like that. Also, there's loads of really useful stuff that just the Disability Advisory Service can do for you without getting the government funded programme involved. So I have my own specially drafted student support plan, which was created by both me and my disability advisor, and it's sent to tutors and faculty coordinators and lecturers, basically anyone you have contact with, which establishes things that you may need to help you out from time to time. So I have a couple of other disabilities as well, so it's hard to separate for me. But in terms of the anxiety and depression, I have things that will let the tutors know that I may occasionally need an extension on a deadline, or saying that I'm not going to be able to make a tute, or asking for a bit of leeway within the tute. I know that they have this sort of official recognition of what's going on. Finally, there's also a load of unofficial or student-run support systems. I'll try and list a couple, but there are so many, it's brilliant. And I think this is my favourite aspect of the support, is that you have peer-supported programmes, Facebook groups, and communities that all really work together to support each other. I'll list off a couple of examples. One of them is Nightline, which actually exists at quite a few universities around the country, and it's basically like the Samaritans, so it's a phone line that you can call up. For us, it's between 8 PM and 8 AM within term time and a couple of weeks either side, and basically you can just call them if you have any worries. They really emphasise that it can be anything as big or as small as you may feel like it is. And I just think it sounds like a really great idea, although I haven't actually used this myself. I have heard really lovely things about it. There's a campaign run by the Student Union called Mind Your Head, which does loads of really lovely welfare things for people. And there's also a charity called Student Minds, which runs different workshops designed to help people cope with mental illnesses. There's a Positive Minds workshop, there's an eating disorders workshop, for example, and there's also a Supporting Supporters workshop, which has actually been made into a video series featuring my face. So I'll link that down below, although I feel a bit guilty about it because I feel like it's betrayal of the Oxvlog channel. Basically, there are just loads of really great networks that can make people feel supported and befriended and so far from alone, and I would really recommend them. I think that's what makes being at Oxford with mental illnesses a lot easier.